Good morning, students. Welcome to the second session of this circulatory system. As we have already began this lesson in the previous class, we have seen the properties of blood, need for transport of blood, fluids present in our blood, etc. And also we have seen RBC. Now let us begin with white blood cells or the WBC. So WBC is also called as white blood cells, which means the leukocytes. So here the leukocytes differ from RBC in having a nucleus and not containing hemoglobin. So that's the difference between a RBC and WBC. RBC we have studied that it was having no nucleus and it was containing hemoglobin, whereas it is completely different in white blood cells. White blood cells have a nucleus and they don't contain hemoglobin. Most WBCs are amoeboid and can produce pseudopodia with which they can squeeze through the walls of the capillaries into the tissues, and this is called as diapedesis. In fact, diapedesis means oozing out of WBC through the walls of the capillaries. It can squeeze out because of the amoeboid shape. You know, amoeba is not having any regular shape. Its amoeboid shape means no regular shape. So it can squeeze out through capillary walls. So based on the shape and other characteristics, the white blood cells are classified again into two major categories. That is granular WBC and non-granular WBC, and 5 distinct types. Okay, and that we will see in the next. Now, where did this WBC originated, and how much is the life of this WBC? WBCs are produced in red bone marrow, lymph nodes, and sometimes even in the liver and the spleen. And their average life is only about 2 weeks. The neutrophils live only for a few hours, and about 125 billion neutrophils are produced each day. It's said that the old and worn out or the dead WBCs are destroyed in the same manner as in the RBC. And students, do you know what is leukemia? You might have heard about cancer. There are different types of cancer. And this cancer, in biological term, we call it as leukemia. What is this cancer in fact? It's a disease. It's a fatal disease which may lead to death also. So what happens in this leukemia? Leukemia is a cancer of the tissue forming WBC whose number increases manifold at the cost of RBC. That means if we see in the proportion, the number of WBC is more than the RBC. So it's called as a fatal disease. Currently the treatment is only the blood transfusion. So leukopenia is abnormal decrease in the number of WBC and leukemia is the manifold increase of WBC. This is what leukemia and leukopenia. Now we come to the next topic. It is our functions of leukocytes. A leukocyte or a WBC. In fact, WBC is also called as a defense system of our body. The first and foremost function of WBC is phagocytosis. Phagocytosis is the process in which most WBC, and particularly out of the other WBCs, neutrophils. There are different types of WBC like neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, lymphocyte and monocyte. Among them, neutrophils engulf particle-like solid substances, especially the bacteria. And so it is called as a defense mechanism against any disease germs. And an abnormal increase in WBC counts up to 50,000 or more per cubic millimeter. This indicates some infection in the body. This is what we call it as phagocytosis. In fact, in short, you can say that phagocytosis means it's a process in which WBC engulfs the disease-causing germs. So next is our inflammation. So this inflammation occurs due to the reaction of tissues to injury and to localized invasion of germs. The inflamed spot has several characteristics like it is increasing the local heat, redness, swelling, and pain on the skin. Here, the leukocytes, especially the leukocytes means here the monocytes and the neutrophils migrate through the walls of the blood vessels by diapedesis. And diapedesis we have came across. What does that mean? Oozing out through the walls of the capillary. So here this monocyte and neutrophils also they migrate through the walls of the capillary or the blood vessels and fight against the disease causing germs. They are also destroying the damaged cells by phagocytosis. Now, have you ever heard what is pus? Pus is mainly composed of dead WBC. In fact, in Odia we call it as pujo. Have you heard about that word? When we meet with any injury or any infection on our skin, when it is going to be healed, at that time pus comes out. So that means the WBC has healed that injury. So pus is mainly composed of dead white blood cells and together with the tissue cells they destroyed by the bacteria. Next is a formation of antibodies. The WBC, especially the lymphocytes. So all those types of WBC are there on your book on page number 95. There are different types of blood vessels. Please go through those diagrams and the different five cell types, its appearance, its distinguishing features, its functions and the site of production. Then you will be able to understand. Now what happens in the formation of antibodies? The WBC, especially the lymphocytes, they produce antibodies which kill or neutralize the germs or the poison from them. And introduction of weakened germs or germ substances which we do during the vaccination stimulates the formation of particular antibodies which at a later period would destroy the particular disease causing germs if they enter into the body. That means whatever the weakened germs are introduced in your body, they raise the immunity power of your body and they fight against those germs if they enter accidentally at any time inside your body. So this type of antibodies are also formed in your body due to this WBC. Next topic is blood platelets. Blood platelets are also called as thrombocytes and they are also called as initiators of clotting of blood. That means when we meet with any injury, we form a clot inside in our body. That means it will stop the oozing out of the blood from our body. Otherwise, it will be continuously bleeding and we would go to death. So, these blood platelets, which are also called as thrombocytes, are also called as initiators of clotting of blood. Blood platelets are minute, oval or round structures and non-nucleated. In fact, non-nucleated means no nucleus. And it is floating in the blood. These are about 2 lakhs to 4 lakhs per cubic millimeter of blood in an adult. And the platelets are derived from some giant cells called as the megakaryocytes in the red bone marrow. These are the site of blood platelets production. These are budded off from the megakaryocytes in a manner that each one is completely surrounded with membrane. And their lifespan is only 3 to 5 days and they are destroyed mainly in the spleen. They are very important in clotting of blood and at the site of injury the platelets disintegrate. Disintegrate means they are secreted or released and they release a chemical substance called thrombokinase which initiates the process of clotting in blood. So, unless and until the blood platelets release the chemical thrombokinase, the clot will not be formed. So, this is what we call it as blood platelets. After that, you have the progress check. Please try to do it yourself on page 96. And then I'll send you the answers. Now, what are the functions of platelets? The first and foremost function of platelets is clotting of blood. Clotting of blood is also called as coagulation. So what happens here? When a blood vessel is cut or blood escapes from it, as soon a clot is formed on the wound and the flow of blood is stopped. If it were not so, the injured person would bleed to death. So clot is a must. So clotting also called as coagulation, occurs in a series of steps as follows. This clotting of blood is also not so easy. It carries out within a series of steps or reactions. So let us see what happens here. The injured tissue cells and the platelets which disintegrate at the site of the wound release a substance called thrombokinase. And thrombokinase is also called as thromboplastin or X factor or Stuart factor. In the second step, this thrombokinase acts as an enzyme, and with the help of the calcium ions present in the plasma, it converts a substance prothrombin of the plasma into thrombin. So prothrombin was in inactive state. It changes it into active state, that is thrombin. Now in the third step, thrombin in the presence of calcium ions reacts with the soluble fibrinogen of the plasma to convert it into insoluble fibrin. And fibrin is a solid substance that forms the thread-like structures on the surface of the skin or the wound. And these microscopic threads of fibrin are sticky and they form a network or mesh at the wound. So this is what the third step. Now in the fourth step, blood cells are trapped in the network or the mesh formed by the fibrin, and the network shrinks and squeezes out the rest of the plasma, which is in the form of a clear liquid called as the serum. Now whatever left, the solid mass which is left behind, is called as a clot, or this clot can be also called as a thrombus. Did you understand what are the four steps carried out in the clotting of blood? First of all, the injured tissue or the platelets which disintegrated a substance called as thrombokinase. This thrombokinase acts as an enzyme and converts the substance prothrombin into thrombin. Then this thrombin in the presence of calcium ion reacts with the soluble fibrinogen in the plasma to convert it into insoluble fibrin. Now this fibrin forms a mesh on the wound, and here the blood cells are trapped and rest of the plasma is squeezed out in the form of a clear liquid called as a serum. Thus whatever solid mass left behind is called as a clot. This is the whole process of blood clotting or coagulation. So figure 8.4 on page number 96 clearly clarifies how that blood vessel was damaged, how RBC, platelets, blood vessels and all are shown and how they reacted. So main reactions in the blood clotting is also there in a schematic representation. You can go through it. Now how can you show that blood clots in a test tube in an experiment? If some blood is taken in a test tube, a clot will form in the usual way, and the serum squeezed out from the clot will collect on the surface. That is shown in figure 8.5 of page number 97 in your textbook. So you go through it. See, if you take a test tube and pour some blood in that, after a few seconds or few minutes, you'll see there also a clot is formed. So if the number of platelets falls to an abnormally low count, what will happen? Then the coagulation occurs very slowly and often leads to hemorrhage. Do you know what is brain hemorrhage and all? That means continuous bleeding is there and this clot is not formed. In fact, if clot is not formed early, that means all the blood will be oozed out, and if there is deficiency of blood, then automatically everything will be it will be put off. That means it will lead to death. So if this number of platelets falls to an abnormally low count, then the coagulation occurs very slowly and leads to hemorrhage. Such a situation occurs in certain disease as in the viral dengue fever. And this has taken hundreds of lives in Delhi and other states of India since 1996 till date. Here what happens? Number of platelets is very less in their blood. This causes to death. Now, it's a wrong notion that clotting is dependent on the exposure of blood to air. We also most often say that if you expose your injury to the air, then the blood will clot very soon. But that is not the fact. In fact, it depends upon the number of platelets in your blood. If it is normal in number, then your blood will clot in proper time. If it is less in number, then blood will clot in much time. So that depends upon your platelets. In fact, clotting can be caused by the movement of blood over a rough surface or on a cholesterol deposit or inside of a blood vessel too. So it's also said that blood clots in the hearts, arteries, veins, isn't it? You might have heard about this. So it doesn't happen that if it is exposed to air, then only it can clot. Transfusion and blood groups, that is ABO and RH systems. Sometimes it becomes necessary to inject blood into the body of patients undergoing the surgical operations. That is natural and you all know, and that is called blood transfusion. That means that patient is undergoing some surgical operation and he or she needs the blood. So what happens here? The blood is transfused into a patient's body from the blood taken from a healthy person. So blood taken from a healthy person is called as a donor, and the patient who is receiving that blood is called as a recipient. So in this case, blood taken from a donor is introduced through one of the patient's vein, and for doing so it's necessary that kind or the type of blood to be transfused should match with the type of blood of the receiving person. That means the donor's blood should match with the recipient's blood. Otherwise, it may lead to death. So before transfusing the blood, it is necessary that they should check the donor's blood, whether it belongs to which group. So the concept of blood grouping was discovered by Karl Landsteiner. So RBCs of human beings have a specific protein on their surface. These proteins are called as antigens. RBC in human beings are having a protein called antigen. So the plasma of the blood has its complementary antibodies. That means in humans there are two types of antigens, antigen A and antigen B. And depending on the presence or absence of these antigens, there are four types of blood groups, such as A, blood group B, blood group AB, blood group O. You also know some of you may be having blood group A, some may be having B, some may be having AB, some may be having O, isn't it? So these are four different types of blood groups. So what happens in blood group A? It has antigen A and antibody B. So antigen is on RBC, whereas antibody is in the plasma. In blood group B, antigen B is on RBC and antibody A is on plasma. In blood group AB, antigen A and B are there on RBC, whereas no antibody in the plasma. And in the blood group O, there is no antigen in RBC, but both the antibody A and B are there in the plasma. This is how the blood group is divided, or types of different blood groups. There are several systems of blood grouping, but two of them, like ABO system and RH system, are most important to the while grouping of the blood. ABO system. Really, what happens in ABO system? According to the ABO system, the human blood is classified into four types, such as A, B, AB and O. We knew beforehand. So besides the transfusion of one's own type of blood, A to A, AB to AB, or B to B, or O to O, etc., there are other possibilities of transfusion also. So it is there on page number 97. You see, O can give the blood to A, O can give the blood to AB, O can give the blood to B. Did you see? O can give to all the other three blood group as well as itself. So it is called as universal donor. That means anyone in the universe can receive the blood group O. But in case of AB, you see, AB is not able to give blood to anyone except AB. It can give only to AB. It's a universal recipient. That means AB can receive the blood from A, from O, from B, as well as from AB. That means this AB is called universal recipient. You understand? That is called ABO, system of blood transfusion. Accordingly, O type blood can given to the person of all the types of blood. That is O, A, B and AB. Hence that person was called as universal donor. The same way, person with AB type of blood can receive blood from all types. That's from AB, A, B and O. And so it is called as universal recipient. A person with a type, A type, can receive blood from A and O types. And a person with B type can receive blood from B and O types only. So the summary of matching and mismatching in ABO system is given in the table below on page number 98. Please see it and you will be able to understand very clearly. Next system of our blood transfusion is our RH system. The blood of most people contains a substance called RH factor, and RH stands for rhesus. Rhesus means a common monkey, in which the factor was first discovered. When this experiment was done on the monkey, this factor was first discovered in a monkey. So on his name, this factor is named as rhesus factor or RH factor. When the blood of such an individual, that is RH positive, is transfused into a person lacking RH negative, the blood of the recipient develops an antibody for RH substance. And within about 2 weeks of this transfusion, now if a second transfusion will be given to such RH negative person, the antibody produced by the first transfusion causes a reaction in the blood and they may even lead to death. So this is similar to the development of an allergy. That means those who are RH positive, they should get RH positive blood only. Those who are RH negative, they should receive RH negative only. If they receive the opposites, then after first transfusion there will be no problem, but after second transfusion they may lead to death because there will be allergy in the blood. That is what we call it as RH system. Now what do you mean by RH factor in pregnancy? An RH factor or RH negative woman may become sensitive if she carries an RH positive child in her uterus. See, woman who is carrying the baby is RH negative, but she is carrying a baby who is RH positive. And when the husband is RH positive, that means what? RH negative was the woman and husband is RH positive. That's why she is carrying a baby RH positive. The first RH positive child will be normal. The first child who is going to get the birth will be normal. But if it sensitizes the mother, the second positive child, if conceived soon, may have a problem and sometimes leading to the death of fetus and abortion. First delivery, it will be normal, but in second delivery, the child may get reaction and may die. So RH positive may be written in short as RH positive or RH plus, and similarly RH negative will be written as RH negative and RH minus. So people with the RH blood group have D antigens on the surface of RBC, while as people which have RH negative blood group lack these antigens. That is what we call it as RH system and ABO system. I think you all will be clear, and if any doubts, please call me and I'll clarify it again. But before that, I want you all to do the progress checks within this lesson and go it thoroughly. Read thoroughly the textbook, unless you will not understand. And the next class, we will start a very important part of this lesson, that is blood circulatory system. Thank you and have a nice day.